Good morning, class. So for our 10th module, we will be talking about equivalence. Okay, so equivalence consists of three concepts. First is obverse, second is converse, and third is contrapose. All right, so let me share with you my PowerPoint presentation. We'll be talking about equivalence. Last meeting, we talked about oppositions. Now we are talking about equivalence. Last time we talked about contradictions, contraries, um, what else? Subalterns and subcontraries. Right now we're talking about we'll be talking um, about obverse, converse, and contraposition, which connote equivalence or similarities. Okay. All right. So what is equivalence? The definition of equivalence, a property among two propositions that have the same meaning but are structurally different. They have the same meaning but are structurally different. So when you see propositions that are structurally different, meaning they are not the same in terms of their structure, no, but they have the same meaning, you can see the equivalence. No, okay, the first type of equivalence is what we call obverse, okay, or obversion. When we say obversion, it is an equivalence formed through the alteration of quality and contradiction of the predicate. All right, so there are two steps that are involved in obversion. Okay, first is to change the quality. All right, how do you change the quality? If the quality is positive, the linking verb is or are. So if you want to change that quality, you place a negating word, the word not. Okay, so from is it will become is not. Okay, from are it will become are not. All right. So for example, the grass is green. Okay, the quality in such proposition is positive, right? So if you want to change that quality, you turn it into a negative. That is, the grass is not green. Okay. All right. So that is the first step. Now we move on to the second step. Right. The second step. The second step is to contradict the predicate. All right, to contradict the predicate. What is the predicate in the proposition, the grass is green? It is the word green, right? All right, so if you want to contradict the predicate, you place the word none, as in N-O-N, okay? None. So to contradict the predicate green, it will become non-green, okay? So any word, if you want to contradict any word, you place the word none, N-O-N, okay? N-O-N. So um, in our example, the main proposition is the grass is green, okay? So first, change the quality. The result would be the grass is not green. Okay. And then second step, you contradict the predicate. Okay. Then the result would be the grass is not non-green. Okay. So if you see, guys, the main proposition, which is the grass is green, and the obverse, which is the grass is not non-green, are equivalent. They have the same meaning. All right. That is what you call obverse. All right. So example here, the main proposition is humans are mammals. Okay, the given proposition or what we call the obvertent is humans are mammals. Right? Now, how do you get the obverse? Okay, first step is to change the quality. Okay, what is the quality of humans are mammals? The quality is positive. Right? In order to turn that into negative, you place the word not. Okay, so humans are not mammals. The second step is to contradict the predicate. Okay, so the predicate here is mammals. How do you contradict that? You place the word none or N-O-N. Okay, So your obverse or the result would be humans are not non-mammals. Okay. So this is a table, no, for the obvertent and the obverse. No, if the given proposition is an A proposition, the obverse is an E proposition. Okay, if the obvertent is E proposition, the obverse is an A proposition, and so on and so forth. Example: A proposition, all fruits are edible. The obverse would be all fruits are not non-edible. In the obvertent, if the given is an E proposition, each child is not senile. Okay, the obverse would be each child is non-senile. Okay, you change the in E proposition, the quality is negative, right? So from is not, it will become is. No, each child is senile. And then you contradict the predicate, which is senile, it will become non-senile. So the obverse would be each child is non-senile. All right. Now in obvertent, if the obvertent is an I proposition, okay. For example, some saints are unintelligent. Okay. So first we change the quality. Okay, the quality in I proposition is positive. We change that into a negative quality, so it will become some saints are not unintelligent. And then second step, we contradict the predicate. Okay, the predicate here is unintelligent, right? So how do you contradict that? You negate, no, that word unintelligent. No, take note, guys, that unintelligent here is already in the form of non-intelligent. Okay, unintelligent. It is already negating the word intelligent. So in order for you to contradict that, it will become intelligent. You remove the prefix un. Okay, so if the obvertent is some saints are unintelligent, you change the quality. Some saints are not unintelligent, and then you contradict the predicate. It will become some saints are not intelligent. Okay, and then the O proposition, example, many vegetables are not leafy. What is the quality? The quality is negative, right? So you change that negative quality into a positive one. So it will become many vegetables are leafy. Now, what is the predicate? The predicate is leafy. So let's contradict the predicate. It will become non-leafy. So the resulting obverse would be many vegetables are non-leafy. Okay. Now, the second type of equivalence is what we call conversion. Okay. What is conversion? Conversion is an equivalence formed through interchanging the subject and the predicate. Okay, so we interchange, no, the subject and the predicate. Take note, guys, that in conversion, it is only applicable to E, I, and A preposition. Okay, E, I, and A preposition. Okay, E, I, and A prepositions. Okay, it is not applicable to O prepositions. Okay, so for simple conversion, it is applicable to E and I propositions. Okay, but for the limited or partial conversion, it is only applicable for A propositions. Okay, what is the simple conversion? Okay, simple conversion is applicable to E and I propositions. So if the given proposition is no child is an adult, that is what we call the convertent. How do we get the converse? Okay, it is very simple. No, in simple conversion, you just swap or interchange the subject and the predicate. No, so in the given proposition, no child is an adult. The subject here is child, and the predicate is adult. No, so if you swap them, it will become no adult is a child. Okay, no adult is a child. So that is the converse, okay, or the product. For E propositions, you just interchange the subject and the predicate. And also for I propositions, some animals are spined. Okay, so for how do you get the converse of that? You just swap the subject and the predicate. No, the subject in this proposition is animals, and the predicate in this proposition is spine. So the resulting converse would be some spined are animals. Okay, very simple. All right. Now, how about for A propositions? That is the challenge here. No? In A propositions, it is what we call the partial or limited conversion. For example, mangoes are fruits. Okay, mangoes is the subject, fruits is the predicate, and what is the quantity here? It is universal, no? And the quality is positive. So universal positive, that is an A proposition, no? So according to partial and or limited conversion, we should first change the quantity, okay, and then swap or interchange the S and P. Unlike in E and I propositions where we just simply swap or interchange the subject and the predicate, here in partial or limited conversion, we first change the quantity, okay, from universal to particular, and then it is only then that we swap the subject and the predicate. Okay, example, in mangoes are fruits, the quantity is universal. So we change that into a particular. How do you change that? You just place the word some, okay, some, many, most, all right? The result would be some mangoes are fruits, okay? And then we swap the subject and the predicate. So it will become some fruits are mangoes, okay? So if the main proposition is mangoes are fruits, the conversion would be some fruits are mangoes. Okay. Simple as that. Next, for O propositions, of course, there is no converse. Okay. Take note, there is no converse for O propositions. It is only applicable to E, I, and A propositions. Okay. Refer to this table for a faster conversion. Next is the third type of equivalence, which we call contraposition. Okay, this is the most complicated one, no, because it involves a lot of steps, no. In contraposition, it is an equivalence form through obversion and conversion. Okay. All right. So we have two kinds. We have partial contraposition and full contraposition. But in your quizzes and activities, I will be asking more frequently the full contrapose, no, full contrapose only. Take note that in contraposition, it is not applicable to I propositions or particular positive. Okay, it is only applicable to A, E, and O. In converse, it is not applicable to O propositions. In contraposition, it is not applicable to I propositions. Take note. Okay. So how do we do that? No, we first get the obverse. Okay, and then if we already got the obverse, we get the converse. Okay, converse of that obverse, and then we get the obverse. So the pattern is obverse, converse, obverse. Okay. For example, the main proposition here is all fruits are edible. Okay, that is what we call the contraponent. Okay, all fruits are edible, and it is an A proposition. Now, first, we get the obverse. How do we get the obverse of all fruits are edible? Okay, you change the quality and then contradict the predicate, right? So, we change the quality, all fruits are not edible, and then we contradict the predicate. From edible, it will become non-edible. So the obverse would be all fruits are not non-edible. Okay. Now from this obverse, we get the converse of it. Okay. So how do you get the converse of it? Take note that all fruits are not non-edible is an example of an E proposition. So in E proposition, you just swap or interchange the subject and the predicate. So it will become all non-edibles are not fruits. All right, that is what we call the partial contrapose. But wait, that's not yet the final contrapose. To get the final contrapose, you get the obverse of the converse. Okay, how do you get the obverse of all non-edibles are not fruits? Okay, you you change the quality and then contradict the predicate. All right. So the in our example here, the converse is all non-edibles are not fruits. So you change the quality, it will become positive. All non-edibles are fruits. And then you contradict the predicate. It will become all non-edibles are non-fruits. Okay, so that's how you get the full contrapose. All right. Okay, so in take note that in contraposition, you first get the obverse, and then you get the converse, and then you get the obverse. All right, in order for you to get the full contrapose. How about in E proposition? Okay, so if the main proposition is each child is not senile, what is the obverse? Okay, each child is not senile. To get the obverse, you change the quality and then contradict the predicate. Okay, change the quality, each child is senile, and then contradict the predicate senile, it will become non-senile. So each predicate is non-senile. That is the obverse. Take note that it is an A proposition. So how do you get the converse of it? You first change the quantity. So each child will become some children. Okay, some children. And then it is only then that we swap the subject and the predicate. So some children are non-senile. You interchange child and non-senile, it will become some non-seniles are children. Okay, that is the converse. Now, to get the full contrapose, we need to get the obverse of this converse. Okay, 3 steps parati yan: obverse, converse, obverse. Okay, so obverse of some non-seniles are children. How do we get the obverse? We change the quality and then contradict the predicate. Okay, so take note here, in some non-seniles are children, that the quality is positive. So we need to change it to negative. It will become are not. And then contradict children. It will become non-children. No, so the final result would be some non-seniles are not non-children. Okay, simple as that. All right, although it's very complicated because it matrabaho siya, it involves a lot of steps, but you need patience, no, and of course consistency and in your procedures, no. All right, I proposition, it is impossible. No, you cannot get a contrapose of that. All right. So, and O proposition examples here, many vegetables are not leafy. Oh, so if the given proposition, many vegetables are not leafy, we first get the obverse. How do you get the obverse? Obverse? You change the quality and then contradict the predicate. So it will become many vegetables are non-leafy. All right. So it is an I proposition. How do we get the converse of an I proposition? You simply swap the subject and the predicate. So it will become many non-leafy are vegetables. Simple conversion. Okay. And then we get the obverse of that converse. All right. How do we get the obverse? You change the quality and contradict the predicate. So it will become many non-leafy are not non-vegetables. That is the full contrapose. Okay. All right. All right, so let's do some examples for us to master equivalence. Okay, first proposition. The first example, the main proposition is every Filipino is Asian. Okay, the first question here is what is the obverse? Okay. Okay, so how do we get the obverse? You change the quality and then contradict the predicate. So the result would be every Filipino. You change the quality to positive to negative, right? Is not. Okay. and then you contradict the predicate, which is Asian, it will become non-Asian. So the resulting obverse would be every Filipino is not non-Asian. Okay, that is our obverse. Now we move on to the converse. Okay, what is the converse? So take note that we should always refer to the main proposition. Okay, all right. Every Filipino is Asian. That is an A proposition. So how do we get the converse? No, you first change the quantity from universal to particular, and then it is only then that we swap the subject and the predicate. Okay, every Filipino, it is universal, so we change it to particular. It will become some Filipinos. All right, and then some Filipinos is Asian, are Asian, right? And then we swap the predicate and the subject. The subject here is Filipinos, the predicate is Asian. So it will become some Asians are Filipinos. That is the converse. Now, how do we get the full contrapose? Okay, this is the challenging part. Okay, the solution for this, we first get the obverse, and then the converse, and then the obverse. Okay. First step, obverse. Okay, the main proposition is every Filipino is Asian. Okay, let's get the obverse. It will become every Filipino is not non-Asian. Okay. Now we get the converse of that obverse. Okay, every Filipino is not non-Asian is a type of an E proposition, right? E proposition. So when you get the converse, you just simply swap or interchange the subject and the predicate. It will become every non-Asian is not a Filipino. Okay, which is an E proposition. Now let's get the obverse. In order to get the full contrapose, we get the obverse of the converse. You change the quality and then contradict the predicate. Okay, so it will become every non-Asian is. Okay, it will become positive, no, is. And then you contradict the word Filipino, which is the predicate, non-Filipino. Okay, so this is an A proposition. The final contrapose would be every non-Asian is a non-Filipino. That is the full contrapose. Okay, so that's how you do a problem on equivalence. Okay, example 2. Okay, let's go to the second example. The main proposition is no male is a mother. Okay, how do you get the obverse? Okay, so if we convert that, it is an E proposition. For us to not get confused, we change the format, no, para hindi tayo mahilo. Every male is not a mother. Okay, that is an E proposition, right? So how do we get the obverse? You change the quality and then contradict the predicate. It will become every male is. Okay, and then you contradict the word mother. It will become non-mother. So the obverse would be every male is a non-mother. Okay, how about the converse? How do we get the converse? Since this is an E proposition, you simply swap or interchange the subject and the predicate. It will become no mother is a male. Simple as that. You simply swap the subject and the predicate. And then full contrapose. This is the challenging part. Okay? You get the obverse of every no male is a mother. It will become every male is a non-mother. Okay. Now, how do we get the converse of this? To get the converse, okay, you change the quantity from universal to particular. Now, take note that the proposition is a proposition. So you do not simply swap the subject and the predicate. You need first to change the quantity. So it will become some males. Okay, some males are non-mothers. Okay, and it is only then that you will swap the subject and the predicate. It will become some non-mothers are males. Okay, and then you get the obverse. Okay, you get the obverse of some non-males, non-mothers are males. Okay, it will become some non-mothers are not. Okay, you change the quality from are to are not, and then you contradict the predicate non-males. So this is the resulting full contrapose. Okay, and finally, we also have the example 3. The main proposition is some Caucasians are blondes. Okay, so how do we get the obverse? We simply change the quality and then contradict the predicate. All right. So from are we change it to are not. Okay. Some Caucasians are not, and then we contradict the predicate blondes, non-blondes. So this is the obverse. Now what about the converse? Okay. Since this is an I proposition, we simply swap or interchange the subject and the predicate. Some blondes are Caucasians. As simple as that. Okay. And then how do we get the full contrapose? The solution to that is you first a converse of obverse, and then you get the converse. All right, and then you get the obverse. Okay. So if our given problem is some Caucasians are blondes, the obverse would be some Caucasians are not non-blondes, right? And then you get the converse of this obverse. It will become, so take note that some Caucasians are not non-blondes is an example of an A proposition, an O proposition. Okay, so how do you get the converse? Is there a converse in the first place? None. So it is impossible. No, it is impossible. So the full contrapose here is not applicable. Okay, not applicable. Because this is an I proposition. Take note that in I propositions, there is no full contrapose. Okay, now let's move on to our fourth example, the O proposition. What is the obverse? You change the quality and then contradict the predicate. Okay, so our answer would be some books are. Okay, so change the quality, are not, it will become are, and then contradict the predicate printouts. It will become non-printouts. Okay. Now, what about the converse? The converse would be, since this is an O proposition, there is no converse. This is not applicable. No. Take note that in converse, it is not applicable to O propositions. In full contrapose, it is not applicable to I propositions. Okay. Now, let's get the full contrapose. Okay, what is the obverse? It will become some books are non-printouts. Okay. Now, what is the converse of this? What is the converse of the obverse? Take note that this is an I proposition. So in order to get the converse, you simply swap the subject and the predicate to become some non-printouts are books. Okay, this is an I proposition. And then how do we get the obverse? You simply change the quality and then contradict the predicate. So it will become some non-printouts are not non-books. This is the full contraposition. Okay. All right. So simple as that, no? That is the step-by-step process by which you get the obverse, converse, and full contrapose. All right. So I expect you to please answer your activity number 7 on equivalence. Okay. The same type of quiz as the example I have given. I gave you a main proposition, okay, and then you get the obverse, and then you get the converse and the full contrapose. Simple as that. Okay, so please submit your activity number 7 on equivalence on Friday. Okay, that is, let me see my calendar. That would be May 27 at 11:59 p.m. All right. So we only have 2 lectures left. Uh, hoping you all guys a wonderful week ahead. Thank you and God bless.